This is a presentation by me, Daniela Gilligan, on best supporting our blended and online learners. All right, so first things first is kind of our mixed or blended classroom instruction. So, what I did is I kind of took an example of a rotation system that I do in my own classroom. Both I have done in person and online, and a mixture of both, because we have done actually virtual days over the course of this school year in certain instances. So, what I have done is I've just kind of like provided like a very brief example of like things that we have done. So for our first rotation, what I have is I have one group that is completing an online research project, and it's based off of an animal. So one thing that we did this year is we actually ended up creating animals of our own after we've researched these different animals and the adaptations they had and the ecosystems that they live in and how their adaptations help them live in that particular ecosystem. So like I said, I kind of just like really briefly threw in the information about, okay, complete online research of animal for project. Boom, done. All right. And then the second rotation or second group I have, they are working on an adjective activity. So this is something that we have previously worked on. This is not a new skill that they are learning. And I'm still holding them accountable by having them turn it in when they are done. So it's not something that I just like, oh, okay, just put it in a folder and take it home with you. No, this is something that I want to make sure that they still understand those skills and understand this particular part of speech. And if not, then I am able to take that information and use that going forward as a formative assessment. And then my last group I have is meeting with me. So again, I have students working in with particular technology resources. I have other students working on a different skill, and then also some with me as well. And again, this can work in an online environment, and it has previously. All right, so let's talk about teachers' roles with online or blended learning. So, what I have done is I've kind of really thought about, well, what exactly is the role of an in person teacher versus one that is not? And so I really thought about it and I kept thinking, I was like, okay, well, clearly we still have an important role in both situations. When it comes to online, when it comes to blended, and when it comes to in person, it is still so important for that teacher to be there. However, they do still have different roles. So I found this really great quote, and it says blended learning shifts the teacher's role from a knowledge provider to more of a coach and a mentor. So what I thought about is that teachers are facilitators. We are the ones who are providing the students with resources and information rather than just being like, this is what you need to know, this is the information. That sends us more as kind of like this, you need to do research and you need to push yourself, and it kind of puts the learning responsibility more on the student. However, we are still there providing that information. All right, so then we come to our challenges of transitioning students online. And this is one thing that I've seen as being a teacher who taught 100% virtual my first year of teaching. So I kind of like walked into the situation being an online teacher and then going in person. So it was very interesting to see the difference between both. So there are quite a few challenges that are presented after doing some research and my own personal experiences. First things first is the comfort of knowledge of using that particular form of technology. One thing that we've learned previously last semester was talking about that digital literacy piece. So students being able to use Zoom, Google Classroom, etc. My county uses Frog, and we are literally the only county in the entire United States that uses Frog. So it's very difficult for sometimes students to understand how to use that particular, form or that particular program. Second thing is building relationships with students. This is super duper duper important, not just in person, but also online, because that also reflects in the online participation as well. All right, so how do we overcome those challenges? First things first is to the comfort and knowledge of using that particular form of technology. So there's a couple things you can do. First things first is having meetings with both parents and students in order to teach them how to use that particular program. I ended up having to have a Zoom conversation with a student like super late at night because it was their first day of school and nobody had taught them how to use the Frog program that I was talking about previously. So it was like 10:30 at night and their parents are emailing me saying, Skillian, like, we don't know how to get on this time, whatever else. And having to teach them how to do that is so important. So this could also include instructional videos for families as well. This can be sent in an email, this can be on a website, something easy for them to access. Second thing is building those relationships with students. Again, super important in person, also just as important online. So you can start building relationships from day one. This can include meeting with students, such as lunch bunches or organized fun activities, where they get a chance to know you outside of just that school time. So what I used to do is I would have lunch bunches probably twice a week or so, where students can log on. They didn't have to if they didn't want to, but this gave them an opportunity to kind of talk to other students that were in the classes, talk to me. We talked about all kinds of stuff, families, pets, sports, all kinds of things. And then it comes to online participation. So first things first is setting expectations and holding them to them. So the first day of classes, I went over my Zoom expectations for my students that you must have your camera on, you must be participating, this, that, and whatever else. And I did not have a serious issue with my students having their cameras on because I held them to that expectation. And then also, like I said, it kind of goes in hand with number two, that if you build your relationships with your students, they're more likely to want to do better and participate in your class. And then that's just my citations. Thank you.